Hygienic behavior describes the ability of bees to identify and remove sick, damaged, or dead brood from the brood nest. This behavior is tested using a freeze-kill brood assay. To perform this test, a section of brood is frozen, killing the brood. The percentage of dead brood removed after 24 hours will determine if the bees demonstrated a hygienic response. A colony will qualify as hygienic if it removes at least 95% of the dead brood within 24 hours in 2 separate tests. The procedure we are reviewing today requires liquid nitrogen. Liquid nitrogen is stored and transported in a tank called a dewar. Dewars and liquid nitrogen can be purchased from gas and welding supply stores. Liquid nitrogen is negative 196 degrees Celsius, or negative 321 degrees Fahrenheit. Contact with the skin can cause severe burns, so safe handling practices are of the utmost importance. Cryogenic gloves, safety glasses, and covering any exposed skin is required for safe handling. Other supplies which are easily obtained include 2 2-inch metal pastry rings, a tub of 0.5% bleach solution, a notebook or data sheet, a pen, and a marker. Optional supplies include a camera, insulated cup, 2 small funnels, and pushpins. Now we will demonstrate a freeze-kill method based on the one used by researchers at the Giovinazzo lab at Laval University and Deschambault Animal Sciences Research Center in Quebec, Canada. To begin, locate a frame of brood from the colony you wish to evaluate. The ideal frame will have a large area of capped brood with few uncapped cells. For higher resolution testing, uncap a few cells and identify pink or light purple-eyed pupa. Repeat this in a second location on the frame. The rings will be placed over these cells. This ensures that a similar age brood is tested in each colony. Shake or brush the bees from the frame and lay it on top of the inner cover of the colony being tested. Before inserting the rings, it is helpful to dip the bottom of the ring in honey. When the liquid nitrogen is added, it will freeze and form a seal. This keeps the liquid nitrogen contained in the ring during the test. One benefit of thin-rimmed pastry rings is that they easily slide through the comb. Position the rings over the area of interest, centered over the uncapped cells, and press firmly. If you are using plastic foundation, you will meet resistance when the ring is in contact with the foundation. When both rings are in place and secure, it is nearly time to add the liquid nitrogen. But first, mark the frame in the location of the test. This makes it easy to find the frame when it is time to evaluate the test. Now it is time to add the liquid nitrogen. Depending on the type of dewar purchased, it may come with dippers that are used to hold samples. The dipper here has been modified to hold a 50 milliliter tube, which makes measuring the liquid nitrogen easier. If you do not have a dipper, liquid nitrogen can be carefully poured into an insulated cup. Adding liquid nitrogen happens in 2 phases. First, about 35 milliliters of liquid nitrogen is poured into each of the rings and allowed to evaporate to cool the testing area. This step is critical. If it is skipped, some of the brood will not be frozen and killed. After the first addition of liquid nitrogen has evaporated, pour an additional 40 milliliters of liquid nitrogen into each ring. If pouring is difficult, funnels can be used to control the flow of liquid nitrogen, and pushpins can be used to mark the testing locations. Allow the testing area and honey to thaw before removing the rings. Otherwise, the comb and brood will be removed along with the ring. Now, return the frame to the brood chamber and document the date, time, and colony number of the test in your notebook. After removing the rings, sanitize them by submerging them in a dilute bleach solution for a few minutes. This will ensure that you are not inadvertently introducing bacteria or viruses between colonies. Results are interpreted after the frame has been returned to the colony for 24 hours. The 2-inch rings make calculations easy, as this is about the size of 100 cells per ring. Since 2 rings are being used, there is a total of 200 cells being tested. Colonies will qualify as hygienic if 10 or fewer cells remain in the 2 testing areas after 24 hours. Whatever ring size you choose to use, it is important to determine the number of cells inside the testing area so that accurate results can be calculated. This colony removed all of the frozen brood, so the hygienic score would be 100% for the first test. This colony would need to be tested again at another date and receive another score above 95% to be considered hygienic. This colony has 13 cells in one ring and 7 in the other. The score is 90% hygienic response and does not qualify as hygienic behavior. It is important to note that when an operation first starts selecting for hygienic behavior, there may be few colonies that exhibit a response above 90%. This colony demonstrated a very low hygienic response. Less than half of the cells have been removed. Requeening this colony with hygienic stock would be an excellent choice to improve genetics in the apiary. Freeze-kill brood testing is a useful way to select colonies for breeding hygienic behavior. Hygienic traits are linked to healthier and more productive colonies.